All right, I've been waiting a while to do this one. What are my thoughts on Gang Starr's debut album, No More Mr. Nice Guy? What's going on, ladies and gents in Cyberland? Coming back to you with another album review, and this time we're on to Gangstar's debut album, or Gangstar, sorry, not Gangsters. No More Mr. Nice Guy. So, Gangstar, I didn't really get into until a couple people I hung out at the time, some good friends of mine. They were playing a couple tracks around me every so often. I was like, okay, cool. I heard so many songs for them, but I never had listened to any albums for them. And at some point, I just, put some time in and started listening to the artists, and it kind of developed after that. And then here we are with the first album. So, this album, I think, when did this album drop? It dropped in 89? Oh, shoot. So it dropped in 89. And, in hindsight, when I look at everything that came after, it's a good album. It's a good starter point. Nothing bad on it. It's just not too many things are memorable as much as the later work. However, you could definitely see with what was on it that these guys are special, and they're only going to get better. They're only going to make something even better than what they're doing right now. And that's pretty much what happened. The production, I think Gangstar kind of got overshadowed because they were new, and they got overshadowed by other artists at the time in hip-hop during the late 80s. So their album kind of got lost in the mix as opposed to their later work that didn't. You had Run DMC, you had LL Cool J, you had Beastie Boys to an extent. You also had Big Daddy Kane. You also had EPMD and Public Enemy. So Gangstar, you already had these guys with these. They already had a bunch of stuff in their catalog. So Gangstar was kind of like the odd man out they were kind of like the odd man out because all these other artists had already a couple albums under their belt that had gotten people's attention. So people were more so focused on what those guys were coming out with as opposed to what Gangstar came out with. And I think it kind of got lost in the mix when you look at what came out, and then when you look at moving forward, it is an entirely different situation. But the album did get people's attention. It just wasn't maybe on the scale of like what Public Enemy did or Beastie Boys or the other artists I mentioned, kind of thing. LL and Run DMC. As far as my rating for the album, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's not bad. It's cool. It's just not really memorable. It's just some good tracks, but it's just the later work outshines this one, and I think that's why I can listen to it, but it's not something I'll listen to as much as Daily Operation and Step Into the Arena and Moment of Truth and Hard to Earn. It's just different. My top 5 tracks are Jazz Music, Manifest, the remix version, Gusto, Conscious Be Free, and Positivity. And also, that's the other thing. Out of all the work, this was the lighthearted album. Like, this was the least of the dark albums, the least of the abrasiveness. Maybe how Premier and Guru were on the street and living their lives may have been a little different, but the way what was put on the album didn't encompass that, at least yet. So I would just say, take a trip to memory lane. If you listen to Gangstar, if you heard the other work, just take a trip to listen to this just to see where they started, kind of thing. And, just take it for what it is. I don't think you're going to, you may like it more than me, but I think the later works are just better quality. So, with that being said, let's cue the music.
The music started in the hearts of drums from another land, played for everyone by sons of the motherland, sending out a message of peace to everybody, and came across the oceans and change and shame, easing the pain. And it was without name until some men in New Orleans on Rampart Street put out the sounds, and then they gave it a beat. I'm talking about Jelly Roll, King, and Satch. I'm talking about the music that had no match. Yes, the music, and it was born down there. We're gonna use it. So make the horn sound clear. It's jazz music. Jazz music, music, music. Yo, the music that Pops and other cats made, it